Catastrophic, Zur, this is a tough one, Zur Floper Duck, Les Sparks, One Blizzard, Kiwi Bird Fruit, I think I know that person, Mirelurk, John, McMadden, Flank of Arms, Kratos, Dyson with the 16 months earlier, that's Sweet 16. When's 18 BC? We're still taking a little bit of a break from BC climbing. Eventually that stuff's gonna go onto YouTube. 18 BC is already done. I just have to toss it up on YouTube for you to see. But it's gonna be pretty interesting. It's gonna be pretty interesting. As I said, I just came back from PAX. So we would like to give you all a little bit of a recap how this past weekend went. Hope you all had a good weekend, though. If anyone was at PAX East, let me know. That was in Boston. Maybe you were at GDC. I think that's Game Developers Conference. I don't know where that is, but maybe you would have seen it. Earn my VeeDotVod license at 16? I don't know what state you're in, but that's... Oh. You know what? I think we get our learner's permits at 14. Back in Virginia. I'm sure it's gone up by now. I would be afraid to see 14-year-olds on the road. I get scared seeing 14-year-olds, period. I'm running the other way. Straight back to my house on my lawn chair, yelling at the kids and their skateboards. In the UK, you can only start learning at 17. 16 in Michigan. You can drive, but you can't vote. In VA, it's 10th grade now. I'm pretty sure we did learners... Oh, driver's ed. We did the book portion of driver's ed in high school. And then I want to say that our school had probably like a partnership with some kind of local driving instructors. And we did all of our driving as part of our gym class. So like eventually, let's say 10th grade, like Call Me Nerd is saying, eventually you just have your gym, and then like the second semester, it's all driving. It was really, really weird. I don't know if any other state does that. Probably, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. One of the few things we did right over there. You guys learned to drive in school? My school did. It's, like I said, I don't know if that's how you become an expert, like a NASCAR driver, is learning driving in high school, like from high school instructors. But I would like to say that I'm pretty legit behind the wheel. You get me in the Ferrari or the Bugatti or the Lambo. We're burning rubber. Tree of Ember, good to see you. Let me see if this is up here yet. So as I said, we went to PAX East. My number one thing, I think I gotta say, so at PAX East, we visit the devs from 30XX. For those who haven't seen 30XX before, I'm gonna play the trailer for you all, because you may not have any idea what I'm talking about. But this is, I guess this is their latest update. Early access soon. Oh, now it's early access, but they have a 1.0 coming soon. This game has actually been in early access for 2 years. I'm gonna assume COVID has something to do with that. But let me, what's a good trailer? Let's try this one. Oh my god, it's loud. Rip ears. I apologize. So yeah, if you haven't seen 30XX, basically imagine Mega Man, but it's a roguelite. Everything you're seeing right now is procedurally generated levels. The way how the game works is that there's 8 stages with 8 bosses. Okay, so there's like, they have 2 modes. They have a roguelike mode and a classic mode. The roguelike mode is probably their main mode. You play through each stage randomized in the roguelike mode, procedurally generated levels. The boss is the same at the end, but your character has multiple weapons and relics. You can get stuff like double jump that doesn't normally exist. You can get like air flight. You might have like instead of hold to shoot, now you just shoot in a fan and you don't have to hold down the buster cannon anymore. It has Zero in it. I've never played Zero before. I only played this person, which is Nina. So this right here at PAX East, well, okay, so the game right now is a roguelike, and then it also has where players can build. I don't know if y'all have seen in Dead Cells. Dead Cells is like in a block, and the game like fits blocks together. Like it has to have an exit and an entrance. And if it lines up with another exit and entrance, it will make that tile. And then that is how the game is laid out. That's how the procedural generation works. So in 30XX, it has the roguelike portion. And then the individual tiles, other players can submit tiles and the game will put them into your run. So imagine something like Dead Cells. Let's say you're going through Promenade. Promenade, you got the classic. I'm trying to get some music in here too. Do this one instead. All right, so in Promenade, you have your classic little towers, and you go, you take the elevator down, and then after that, maybe it's a hallway with some spikes or something. Susie, if you're out there, Susie can make her own little segment right after the Promenade elevator, and then the game will like rotate in that individual stuff in the level. And you can opt out of that. Like you can have nothing but the developers created stuff. And this is in the game right now. Tree of Ember, did you see that huge stream deck at PAX? I did not. I don't know if that was like easy to miss or am I just blind? Of course, the game does have co-op, by the way. I'm hoping I have like good footage of this. So the other piece to it, the dev had, not only is it just like the individual segments that you can put in, they're making a fully fledged level designer, which is just every tile piece, every enemy. You can mix and match enemies as well. Let me see if I can find a screenshot from the dev team. Can I get a Twitter? Imagine using Twitter. They may not have one. Oh my god, Elon! Alright, so anyway. So what he showed me was that they have a brand new level creator where you can create the entire run. I'm sorry, just gonna catch up real quick. It's kind of like that thing in Death Stranding where you can use other players' builds. Yeah, so that's like people can put down ladders and stuff like that and bridges. Like it's a game of building bridges, and other players' bridges will be in your game and you can use that to traverse. So like it's kind of that, except instead think of it like Dead Cells, where like that whole elevator segment, someone made that and it replaced the normal one that you would usually see. So when we sat down, the dev showed me a fully created level. Which in Dead Cells, like, to be fair, you can go into Workshop and get, like, custom levels that are made that way. But this is, like, in the game itself. There's a level editor in the game. We don't have something like that for Dead Cells, where you can create the full level. You can create all of Promenade. User-generated. Completely different than a normal Promenade. All you need is to be able to enter it and exit it. And in the case of 30XX, like, each area has a boss. So, like, that area's boss has to be at the end. And you can do a full run of user-created levels. See if we can get to... So, yeah. So, it would be like, okay, someone out there, Susie out there made this level, which is based off of, like, the current normal level, but it's all user-created. Yo, Blaze, good to see you. 30 months! That's a good number. That's the do it big number. That's when you go out and rent out a hotel conference area, and you get everybody together, and all of a sudden, now you're celebrating the big 4-0. Thank you for that one, Blaze. And Wanderbike, good to see you, Wander. Wander, how did you like 9 years of Shadows? That's a beautiful game. We did play it over the weekend for their demo, and it looks fantastic. And I don't play a lot of Metroidvanias. It crashed for you? Oh no. I did see a review saying that they got some crashes. I'm glad to see you met Grand Pooh Bear. I'm jealous. Pyro, we're gonna get to that in a second. Crap, I'm talking about games over here, and we have so much to talk about from PAX stuff. One of the best Metroidvanias to come out this year, though. Yeah, and what's really exciting to me for it is that it's not just, oh, going through castle. Oh, you're like in a demon area, and you're going through the underworld. It's like they actually have sort of a unique twist with like the music and stuff like that. Not that, like, I've been struggling with Metroidvanias being too samey, but like when you go into this orchestra room, this opera room, and see like 2 singers and then a guy with a saxophone. It's the last thing I had on my bingo board for my Metroidvania. So that's what I kind of liked a lot. But good to see you all. Shoutouts to Wander, bring your community over. Do appreciate that very, very much. We might be playing some games with Wander this Wednesday. Possibly. Keep a lookout for that kind of thing. We're just doing a little PAX recap here. I was talking about 30XX, where the dev has added a full level creator. But it's not just the level creator. So they had like 2 visions in mind. One vision is that you can play the full game with excuse me, with all user created levels, which has like an ending to it, and you're still getting your meta currency and all that stuff. But then the other vision, which is the one that I am like more interested in, imagine Mario Maker 2. Think of Grand Pooh Bear. We were just talking about him earlier. Doing Mario 100, where you have like 100 lives and you have to do as many levels as you can until you get to death, and you maybe get a high score after that. He plans to have an actual like robust map finder. So instead of you having to go and like go to Steam Workshop, for example, or look on Twitter for someone making custom maps, you could just go, I want expert maps with like this number of bosses, and then it will just spit out whatever someone's come up with. And they'll also have tags, and you can follow people too. And again, not something that we have in Dead Cells. I can't just look up, I want to play everyone's promenades. That doesn't exist. I feel like this doesn't exist at all. I just don't have footage for you all. I wish I had taken more pictures or something.
Chat.
But the idea of like Mega Man Maker 2 is like incredibly fun to me. That should be ready for 1.0, which I don't think they have a date for 1.0 yet. They can't guarantee it'll be ready for a console release for 1.0. But should be available for PC release 1.0. That was Coil with the Prime. Thank you for that. You all knocked it out of the park. Again, I was a little worried coming back on stream today. I don't know why. I always get nervous coming back from being off. So yeah, that was 30XX. Someone asked me earlier, will I be playing Have a Nice Death? I will be playing it tomorrow. But I have to figure out how I'm gonna play it. So it will be part of tomorrow's Try Me. And I would like to like dedicate some hours to it. But it's gonna be a lot of runs. 30XX I think has 15 heat. Let me see if they have it listed. They don't call it heat in their game. They call it something else. So that, to me, that means I have to at least beat the game 15 times in order to, like, get all of the content available to us. Breakdown. Yeah, so Breakdown goes up to 15. Ideally, you all would be watching me play it at Breakdown 15. It's going to take a little while to get there. Even if you imagine that each run is an hour, that's 15 hours to get to Breakdown 15, assuming I never die. So it's a little tough just from that standpoint. I've even known some people take Hades, for example. A good buddy of ours, rather than like spamming wins in Hades, they just gotta save and just start at Heat 20, like immediately. Well, I think they did 6 and then, what is it, 16 and then 24, and then went down to 20 to like learn the rest of the game. It's a lot of game. But we will start that tomorrow. If it gets, you know, really nice traction, then I don't mind playing more of it. The game is really unfair. I don't think it's 15 hours. Maybe that's skill issue. You don't think it's 15 hours of beating Breakdown 15? What I was saying is that, like, assuming each one is a win, that's 15 wins I would have to do, which means minimum 15. Told you I'd be back for my sub V. Glad to have you back. Same here, Coil. I'm happy to be back. Isn't that completionist? That's him, right? Add a 0 to that estimation? God. It's a pretty hard game. I think you could do it. I want to do it. I really do. We'll try our best. We'll try our best. Next game though. PAX. This character right here, Elsie, is another roguelite. We did just look at 30XX though. So I'm gonna pause the music real quick and let you all see what this looks like. Please? Oh, it was completionist. He's producing the game? So I didn't play this over the weekend. What I did was I just sat to talk with the dev.
Let's try that again.
This game is not going into early access from what I was told. This will be full release. Is the date up yet? I don't think they had a date at the time. March 17, last update. Oh, wow. Not bad, not bad. Biomes and Bosses trailer. I like the art. They know how to get me with some art. I can say that much. Give me a release date, though. Still no release date. This is almost the same as 30XX. We'll get to that in a second. Bullet Hill, baby. So if you think about a Mega Man game, There's a little bit of bullet hell in there, but like not a ton. The way how the dev described it to me was a little more like gunplay and a little less of that like Mega Man style gameplay. Let me see if this trailer is any different. This I have not seen, so I'm kind of interested. I am so sorry for the rib ears, everybody.
This is Elsie, a rogue-like, hyperkinetic, neon-drenched action platformer that will test your skills.
Is that completionist? Yo, give me the 4K.
Titular character Elsie.
Gunstar Heroes? That's two people who put Gunstar Heroes in text. I have never seen that before. I've never heard of that. That's legit.
Filled with countless enemy robotic hordes. But fear not. Elsie comes equipped with a powerful arsenal of weapons and abilities to help her take on any challenge.
We're on the timer here. But yeah, like it looked really good on paper.
You can tailor your playstyle to suit your preferences. As you progress through each biome, you'll encounter powerful bosses that stand in your way. These epic battles will test your skills and strategies to their limits, culminating in a final showdown with each biome's guardian boss. With a stunning neon-drenched art style and a pumping soundtrack, Elsie is a game that will...
I don't know what it is. So I've been like having this real interest in playing these like sort of impossible looking visually games.
Keep you on the edge of your seat, so get ready to take on the challenge.
And what I mean by that is like there's a lot of lights and a lot of flashing. And once you get into a boss fight, like there's a lot of stuff going on. So like maybe this is a good example. So there's a couple of enemies here. Explosions going off. I don't know whose bullets are whose. I'm sure once you get into the game, you figure that out. But it actually, from what the dev said, while it looks like there's probably a lot of stuff that you're doing, realistically, there's only, you can kind of see down here, you have your square button, your triangle button, and the B might be like the dodge or the parry. I don't know. But there's not that many buttons for you to worry about. And that was my main issue, is that something like a Dead Cells, we have what, 4 buttons that we have to worry about plus the dodge roll. And when you're doing a Mega Man bullet hell, I don't need to worry about more buttons, to be perfectly honest. I need a little more help. Like even this right now, and I have it on 1.75, there's a little bit of stuff on the screen.
As our nature biome, it's home to some unique enemies that will try to slow down Elsie as she tries to fight through the fungus that has taken over this kingdom. Each biome.
But when I brought up the idea of 30XX and how, okay, you have a Mega Man roguelike that's basically like 2 rows behind you. What's the difference between this game and that game? And they were saying that, well, this isn't necessarily Mega Man X when you play it. Like visually, just from one screenshot, it might look that way. But once you're in motion,
we'll have some small Easter eggs of people and games that have influenced us all.
It's a lot different than that.
We've made sure that each biome has its own unique look, style, and feel, offering a new atmosphere with every run, new bosses to defeat, and one memorable guardian fight to cap off the biome. These are only some of the worlds and bosses that await Elsie. Our team has been working tirelessly to ensure...
This one I haven't touched at all yet. I've been wanting to try to play stuff blind. If it does come up on the desk, then yeah, we'll play it, but very, very cool.
Stay tuned for more updates on our developmental journey.
You're too young to know Gunstar Heroes is from 93. Not bad, not bad. I would like to say I did play a lot of games in 1993. If it was on Sega Genesis, it was probably just Comic Zone, Sonic. We played a lot of Mortal Kombat back then. We had Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and Ultimate 3. Why we collected Mortal Kombats, I don't know. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I think was the only one we had. But yeah, so that was Elsie. Looked pretty cool. And by the way, I'm wishlisting all of these. You don't have to know that I'm doing that, but just pretend that I'm wishlisting it. I'm gonna give you all another roguelite. This was another one that we met with. This is a game called Night crawlers. Okay. Here we go. All right. So you're gonna have to bear with me here. So Nightcrawlers is a ragdoll physics action roguelike. I'm gonna say that very, very briefly, and then you all can decide what that means from the trailer that you're looking at. Who was better at Mortal Kombat, you or your sister? Depends on who we use. I'd say probably equal. But we only have our one mains. So I set up an appointment to play this game. And the reason why is that, so we play a lot of stuff, but we have never ever played like a ragdoll comedy roguelike before. I've never seen that. Does have co-op. Yeah, like pure comedy game. Was that Alt F4? Alright, so now that you all saw the game, which I think, does it have a demo? Did I just see that there's a demo for this? Gonna have to go back. There is. Just kind of interesting. Okay. So what this game actually was is that for those of you who maybe played Soulstone Survivors, Soulstone Survivors is basically Diablo or Path of Exile turned into a Vampire Survivors game where you're trying to get like the coolest looking synergies where it's like maximum size. It's basically Vampire Survivors, but more emphasis on getting like specific abilities to do like wild stuff. So I think they tried to do that with Nightcrawlers, where it's basically like, give me Diablo, except make it funny, and then make it ragdoll. And like it was kind of there. It was kind of there. You basically fall flat a little bit because you're going through a dungeon. You're spawning enemies yourself. Like you go over to a spawn point, you spam it to spawn as many things as you can, and then all you have is your basic attack, which is like spin the wind. This is what the person's trying to do right now. And then you might get a spell. The spell might be like Meteor, or it might be like Acid Cloud. You can kind of see them down here. These are spells. It's not like Vampire Survivors where these are just activated on their own. Like you have to actually use these yourself. This is actually, I guess, an old version, old build, because it didn't look like this in the demo. So like it worked, but it was so, and maybe that's okay, but it was so buggy in some places. And then it also ended up being where like this stuff right here, this is probably the most important part of the whole game, right? I want projectiles that pierce, and then when they pierce, they split, and then they can leech life, and then when they leech life, they might like lightning strike an enemy on you. Like that's cool, but I never got it to this point. Every time I got a card, it was just increase attack by 5, increase move speed by 3, increase crit by 1. Like this, I hate this stuff. Like, okay, the move speed maybe is okay, but in these roguelike survivors games, probably the least fun I have is crit +1, attack +1. Cooldown, like that gets fun eventually, but like this is the cool stuff. Like this is the stuff that you see in the trailers, but in reality, these kind of cards only show up once out of every like 10 cards. So I was over here like trying to kill stuff. I would spawn like a whole room worth of monsters while my meteor was up. I dropped the meteor, which is on like a 30-second cooldown. It kills all of them. And now like my basic attack sucks. I never got to a point where like I'm doing that kind of thing, even though that was basically the meteor. But the part that made it like tougher is that the dev was saying, well, it wasn't the dev, it was actually the publisher that was there. We gotta remember that not everything is like a dev issue. Sometimes it's a publisher issue, or sometimes even other stuff besides that. But this is going to be out in full release. There's no plan for early access on this one. And I was thinking back to my good buddy Esty, where you don't want your game to release in mixed reviews. And the best example of it, me and Airless played this. This game actually has a PvP mode where you start off doing this stuff. Like, it's both of you that spawn. You both fight your own hordes, and then there's like a wall in between the two of you. And after you've killed like 30 seconds worth of monsters or something, the wall will drop, and then you have to fight each other. But because it was buggy, sometimes the wall wouldn't drop at all. Sometimes monsters would die on one side and drop their items, and the person can't pick up the items, but the other person can on the other side. Sometimes I would do a spell, and the spell would like hit the stuff on her arena, which, I mean, to be fair, is kind of funny. But like, I don't think it's going to release without that stuff still in it. And I'm like super worried about that. And it's a one-person operation. So you always feel bad when you do see something that's buggy and you are worried it might go into the release. But this, it looked fun, but I don't know if I can tell you all to buy it. Right away. If it shows up on the stream as a hashtag ad, I'm gonna be a little tight-lipped around please go and buy it. But it was certainly very interesting. Yo, Coach, good to see you. Alright, I have one more game to show you all before we talk about the rest of the stuff at PAX. I was able to play Strayed Lights. Again, I'm gonna play a trailer for you. This one is a lot better than the last one that we just talked about. I'm kind of excited to show you all it. The Abzu people? Is that what I just saw? It's a very pretty game, by the way. Very pretty. It's a very minimalist game, too. Like, there's almost no UI in the game. I'm actually curious if anyone can tell what the gameplay is yet. Ikaruga-like? No. Ikaruga is like Toho, right? Bullet hell? Not a bullet hell. Though it would be really funny if it was. Abzu had no gameplay. Yeah, that was just exploration. Like you're a diver. Fury? Fury is very close. So basically, imagine Fury meets Sekiro with color matching.
I'm Alex, creative
I'm trying to talk.
director at Embers. Today I want
Maybe I could just mute it. Okay, so the way how this game plays, it's not a Souls-like, even though like it's probably gonna get tagged as a Souls-like. It's basically like a level that you go through. There are specific enemies on the map, so you basically have to fight every enemy unless it's an enemy off a beaten path for like a side area. But the actual gameplay is Parry God Simulator. So in the same vein as Sekiro, each enemy has a poise meter, and you break their poise by doing parries, just like you would in, you know, the other games. But the difference in this one is that enemies change their color, and you can only break their poise by parrying that color. If you parry on a different color, it just does a block instead. You do have basic attacks too. This is just like a showcase of the actual parry mechanic, which you can see the poise getting broken. And then there's some stuff that's unblockable. So in the way how Fury works, I think Fury, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just like a boss rush game, right? Like there's no maps that you go through and enemies to kill and like stuff to find. There's none of that in Fury, I think. I've owned the game for like 5 years. I've never played it. Are the color changes random or is it same attack pattern? So each enemy has distinct attack patterns. So just like Sekiro, you will learn eventually, if you don't die, you will learn what the enemies do one way or another. So you can sort of predict what some of the parries will be eventually. But of course, when you're seeing the monster for the first time, you won't. Some of them are extremely quick. But what's nice is that if you aren't the right color, all you do is block. You just don't break the poise. So long as you're doing a parry of some kind, you aren't dying. Unless you're trying to parry purple. Then you're dying. And then every time you do a successful parry, you also heal. So, like, you get to play the game. Which is great. Like, the worst part about a game like Wo Long is that all the parrying that you're doing, if you screw up, you have to run away and like heal yourself, and you might screw up the heal, you might get punished for it, etc., and all that's fine. But in this game, it's just if you continue to fight, you can probably win. Ikaruga had polarity system. You change colors to match the incoming bullets and absorb them. I did not know that. That's really cool. Their poise regions back up if you stop parrying, though. Yes. You can also do basic attacks. I actually fought this boss. You can do basic attacks to keep the meter down, and you have special attacks too. In Sekiro, when you're parrying and an enemy is about to counter the hit, sounds change and parry has a different bright. I think that happens in the game too. So yeah. It's more like Fury, where there's not... Okay, so the other big issue about Sekiro... Yo, Retro, good to see you. We're talking about PAX right now. We're doing like a PAX recap. For those who don't know who I am, I'm VeeDotVod. We might be playing with Retro this Wednesday. But good to see you, good to see you. So, in this game, unlike Sekiro, where there's just enemies all throughout the castle, there's some Asura's Wrath in here. I won't spoil that. There's specific enemies you're fighting, more like Fury. So you don't have to like run by an enemy because you don't feel like fighting anymore. Like once that enemy's dead, it's dead for good. So like this is a boss right here, but any enemy that was up to this boss, once you kill them, they're dead. And you get whatever XP you got from it. They're hiding whatever objective they're hiding and then you are trying to find the boss through that. Someone asked, like, is there any benefits for like perfect parries and stuff like that? The game has a skill tree. So there's a path that has stuff for like parry timing and stuff like that. I played the demo for this. It was pretty fun. Yeah. It was honestly a lot of fun. It might show up on YouTube. Yeah, that looks exactly like Asura's Wrath. I didn't mention Asura's Wrath. This is also a French dev. We were talking earlier that we've been collecting games from French devs. I don't know how. I don't know why. Pastech. The people who are doing Have a Nice Death. Ashla Ascent. It's all French devs. Let's give a shout out to Retromation. Retro, good to see you. I hope you enjoy your car roguelike. I have not seen any of it yet, but I will definitely be sure to take a look on the YouTube page. But yeah, this one, honestly, I'm excited for it. It ended up being I honestly thought I would not make it through the demo. Because when I look at a game like this, I think to myself, are people actually winning in the demo? I asked this the dev. I was saying, hey, on this boss, let me see if we can get back to the boss. How many people actually finished this boss? And how many people just put the controller down and walked away? And he was saying most people stuck around to do the boss. Not very many people could do it on their first try because it's a dance almost. You have to learn the dance. And you don't just learn it in your first two-step. You gotta watch a TikTok, at least, maybe a couple. And once you get the TikTok dance down off on your own, then you do the fight the third time and it's an easy clap. So they were saying that they put in enough systems where they think if you just fight every enemy, which you kind of have to fight every enemy, you will win eventually. It's not like a roguelike where you just farm until you're stronger. The game itself keeps you alive if you keep playing. If you keep dancing, your health bar goes up. So it's like if you make a mistake and you're out of health flask, it's not the end of the world. All you have to do is, try. And you might actually be able to fully recover. And of course, with the skill tree, you could skill your way to be more defensive. So that way you can dance a little longer. In the demo, I didn't do that. I went for damage. Which is maybe why I died in the first couple of tries. The car roguelike looks cool. I haven't checked out the YouTube page yet, so I'm going to have to do that later. Do bosses have HP as well since we can do attacks? It's all poise meter. Which I guess, like, technically the poise meter is the HP. Because, like, once it's at 0, you do your execute. But of course, parrying does more to poise than just smacking it. Unless you build for smacking. But yeah, that was Straight Lights. Very, very cool game. Very cool game. Catch up the chat a little bit. I want to see what is that game that Retro played. I want to look at the trailer for it. As I said, we just came back from PAX. We did a lot of stuff. We were there since Wednesday. Went to a Red Bull event that had a Grand Pooh Bear doing speed running. And not gonna lie, I should probably do some speed running for Dead Cells. Like, it doesn't have to be our main content, but I should probably do it. Have you seen Raven's Watch? I did. I just sent them an email today. I know that there is a new gameplay trailer out, which I have not seen. And unfortunately, they were not at PAX East. Alright, what's this game? Death Roads Tournament. Which is a roguelite, I believe. Let's take a look at this. Games on games on games. Heaven Knight's Death just came out. Astral Ascent's coming soon. Spiritfall Early Access is in like 2 weeks. And we'll be there too. I don't know how we're supposed to do this. Wait. What are we looking at? Combine Deadly Racing deck building. Deck building my car? And roguelike style to get car battles unlike anything before. Choose a driver, car, weapons, and sponsors. You get the Red Bull sponsor in Death Roads. Adapt to an ever-changing race to come out on top and earn entry into the last safe haven of the divided states of America. That 2024? Shift and shoot. Ooh, change lanes? Skirt? I don't know who's who. Unless I'm both cars, but I don't think so. Swap the body. Oh wait, yeah, swap the body. As much as it's like cars, I'm also thinking that this is like battle bots. Which makes me think, like, why has no one ever made a battle bots roguelite? Like the TV show Battle Bots. B, what if I told you that already exists? Would you play it? Quick, copyright it. It's just this. This is sick though. There's a lot of deck builders out there, and to be fair, like, you hate to give this is the Slay the Spire of car games. It's 100% not, I feel. Like, there's lanes, there's swapping out equipment, there's cars. I don't know if these drivers, yeah, there's driver cards too. So there's like multiple layers to it. So I feel like you can't give that description for every single deck builder that's out there. You can do it for some. But this looks completely fresh to me. Nice, that's sick, that's sick. Okay, let's how are we gonna do this? It's like NASCAR racing, but with no racing and pure pandemonium. That's I was gonna say that's like Monster Truck. Like Sunday, 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 come down, one and all. Monster Mayhem at the amphitheater downtown. I've never been to one of those. I feel like as a little kid, I've always wanted to, but I think I would not have had a good time if I went to one. Like, if I'm at any stadium watching something, like, I'm not playing video games. And it's really hard. It's really hard. It's like, you gotta drag me out of the house. That's why going to something like PAX is not that big a deal, because it's kind of easy. You went once and it was way too loud. Is it the cars that are too loud, or is it the people that's too loud? Thank you for that hydration, Mana. Yeah, I'm surprised you can hear the cars over the crowd. Okay, let's pull up the game. Change the game, change the title. We'll continue to talk a little bit, though. Because like I said, I want to be able to do the absolute best we can. Coming out of that PAX event, so the Red Bull event with Grand Pooh Bear, it was a speedrun session. He was doing the speedrun of some kind of Shell Kaizo for Super Mario. Which, like, if you've ever watched people do that stuff, it looks incredible. It's, like, sickening how good it looks. So we watched that. And we also watched a co-op Super Metroid run, which was really weird. It's like 2 SNES versions of Super Metroid on 2 CRT TVs, but 2 people are playing each individual game, and whenever they